Welcome to Align and Arise, the podcast for wildly ambitious women who want to break free from the struggle, build a life without limits, and create success, wealth, and happiness completely on their terms and with way more than just the money in mind. I'm Abby Rogers, therapist, mentor, and abundance expert, and I'm here to help you create anxiety-free freedom and wealth that aligns with your soul. Let's dive in. Hello, I think we are live. Yes, all good. So today we are looking at how to do it. How do we do the actual journaling thing? We had a little wander through the whys and wherefores the other day, and today is just about the actual how, the mechanics. So I wanted to dive in today and give you some hows, give you some tips on journaling, basically based on my 6 years plus experience as a therapist. Now, of course, you can journal any way you want to. At the risk of a very bad pun, it is an open book, so to speak. You can just write whatever you like, whatever comes up, and process it in whatever way works for you. But I know through my therapy experience that there are better ways of getting the most out of our thoughts and the most out of our mindset time, as it were. Some of this may be really obvious. Some of it might be quite surprising. First, maybe surprising truth for me is I personally don't journal every day. Now, I know some people do. Some people find it really helps to have that as a rock solid habit, and they have a very defined morning routine that helps them get in the flow for the day, and I think that is a great thing. I don't include my journaling within that. I tend to do it a bit more as and when I feel that I need to, but it can be a really nice way to capitalize, say, on your flow of ideas first thing in the morning, because most of us have that when we wake up, don't we? We just all of a sudden, like, if we allow the space and time to connect with ourselves properly, all of a sudden the ideas start flowing and we have a bit of a brain download. So it can be a really nice way to do that. But what I do like to do every day is ask myself a really helpful solution-oriented question to keep my brain creating positive outcomes and to stay in a good place of focus and conscious creation. And sometimes I will sit and write on that. That falls into my day quite nicely and it works with my routine. But quite often I'm a bit short on time in the mornings. I'm dropping on my little boy off at nursery and then running back home, and I want to get going. So often what I like to do is let my brain run free and think about that question while I'm exercising or while I'm doing things around the house, and then just like jot ideas down as they come. So it can be a very much sit down and do it practice, or it can be more of a let your thoughts flow freely and then just note them down here and there thing. So don't force it, I think is maybe my first big tip. Try and do it in a way that works for you. And if you're not feeling ready, there's no point forcing yourself to sit down and stare at a blank page and get nowhere with it and just get frustrated and wish you were doing a million other things. So go to it when it works for you with your schedule. Go to it when your energy is there and when it feels like there is something ready to come out or ready to be processed, or when you feel like you need to clear your head. I think for me that works much better than trying to really force it to happen every single day. Depends how much you can fit in that daily anchor point and how much you feel that you need that in your life. So go with what works for you. The second thing feels fairly obvious is I would find peace and quiet if you can, or somewhere where you won't be disturbed. However, saying that, again, life is busy, time is short, it's not always easy. Sometimes I will do a bit of journaling and thinking and planning on a long ride in our van when we're going somewhere away for the weekend or something like that. I'll just take my journal with me and go. And I've got a van full of family, 2 excitable kids in the back, but I can pop in my earplugs and focus for a bit. They can play their games or whatever they're doing for a little while. And it is possible to kind of carve out a little quiet space for yourself, even amongst the madness of life and family and stuff. So try and find peace and quiet, try and give yourself space and time to reflect, but that doesn't always necessarily work easily with family life. So find a way that you can create that space for yourself. Use a journal that you love. So I'm a really big fan of blank canvas. That works really nicely for me, just like it's literally a lined notebook. And I really like that, just lines to write whatever I like. I can do free flow writing or whatever I fancy in there. There are some very structured journals you can buy, like bullet journals, which are really nice, again, if you want a system for keeping track. That can be really helpful. On the downside, though, it can get a little prescriptive. It can encourage you to find more things to obsess and worry about and focus on that are actually kind of not needing your attention. So use the bits that you find useful. Don't feel like you've got to fill in all the bits every day, because often if we're doing that as well, we don't stick to the habit if we're forcing ourselves to do things that don't feel really good, which is another reason to make everything work for you. Now I'm creating, as you may have seen, something at the moment called the Living Journal, which I'm really excited about. And that's a daily prompt. So like I said earlier, a few moments ago, it's a daily prompt to just get you in a solution-oriented space so that you connect and reflect and to provoke useful, positive, solution-focused thoughts that shift your brain into a place of more positive ease and abundance and flow in just a few minutes a day. And within that, I'll be including things like gratitude practices, setting goals and intentions, and regular reflections to help people learn and develop. So very much looking forward to that. That's going to be really helpful. But my reason for mentioning that at the moment is I think one of the most important things is to have a good intention before you start and a clear idea of what you're going to do to get there, and to know kind of where you're headed with it. Like, am I journaling to do my gratitude? Am I journaling to work out the solution to a problem? You know, why am I sitting down and doing this? What's the outcome going to be? I'm not just sitting here and writing for the sake of it. So exploration and random thoughts are great. They can be really useful. But as I said on day one, sometimes we can end up digging into things that aren't really helpful and actually kind of keep us stuck or cause us pain rather than really moving us forward. And one of my biggest bugbears is that people will often be told just to journal on it and see what comes up. I've heard that many times over in various programs and things that I've been in. And I don't think, in my experience, that is always the most helpful or productive thing to do if it leaves you with no way forward, which sometimes it can. So in my experience as a therapist, I would definitely say avoid doing that if you're feeling particularly vulnerable, if you're feeling anxious or depressed. And what you might be better doing instead is just seeking some professional help to process the things that you're really struggling with, rather than getting yourself deeper and deeper into them and more wound up about them. Use your own judgment, obviously, and if it's making you feel worse, that's not a good thing, so step away. But the way our brains work, when we go back to something in our past or imagine something negative happening in our future, it's like we're actually experiencing it now. Our brains don't differentiate between our imagination and the reality of the moment, and that's fine if we're in the right place emotionally to cope with going there. But if we're not, then it can really ramp up our anxiety and emotional load, and we're opening the doors to those feelings then finding their way into our present day. If we're going to do that, we need to know what we're going to do with those feelings. We need to know that we have a way to process them and resolve them and move forward, and not just leave them sitting there. Otherwise, it's kind of like you're picking at a scab and just leaving it to go icky and horrible. So yeah, very long-winded way to say, come back to your intention. Make sure that you have a bit of a plan, you have a bit of an idea. If you're going to do some exploratory journaling and digging, that you know how to get out the other end of it. Otherwise, it might be better parking that and getting some proper help to dig into those limiting beliefs or trauma issues, things like that. So clear intention. And often, actually, there's a lot more benefit to be had by using a solution-oriented approach instead of analysing your thoughts to death. So thinking about how you want things to be, looking at things that are working already for you, looking at the lessons and the shifts that you can take from the past, working out how you can move forward and learn from things that have happened, getting clarity, asking yourself powerful questions that challenge and develop your thinking. They are all brilliant ways to work through some of those limiting beliefs and some of that negative stuff without needing to rip off the plaster and open up the wound. So yeah, always think about where you're going with it and just make sure that you are heading in a positive direction with it. Maybe that's the best way to put it. On that note, I'd always say start your session, if you can, with some positive reflection, whatever you are going to be doing, because positive reflection is brilliant for engaging the part of our brain that deals in problem solving and moving forward and connects us with our intuition, our intelligence, our creativity, our ability to manifest, our ability to see things from a more helpful perspective. And it also calms down our anxiety centre so that we're not having our judgment clouded by stress and anxiety. So really beginning with some positives, you'll find that you get much more by way of useful answers and insights, much less by way of worries out of your journaling session. So really recommend that. And you can use pretty much anything you like, but just maybe looking back over even the past day or so to reflect what's gone well for you, what's been good, can be super helpful. And if you're planning on doing your journaling as a kind of flow straight after meditation or anything like that, that's brilliant. I mean, you can definitely do the positive reflection as part of your meditation. Meditation in itself or relaxation often is a great way to discharge the anxiety and connect us with our more positive brain centres anyway. So that's absolutely fine if you want to just flow straight into your journaling from there. One more thing for today before we wrap up is if you plan to get into a habit with journaling or with anything else and you miss a few days, don't worry, it's fine. Don't beat yourself up. Beating ourselves up, giving ourselves a hard time over things is like the worst thing we can possibly do and not at all helpful. It doesn't solve anything, it doesn't move us anywhere. So rather than doing that, just be pleased with yourself for what you do achieve. Congratulate yourself for the days that you do make it. Give yourself a big pat on the back. Let it be okay to not go there if you're not feeling it that particular day. And just, as has been my message, I think, all the way through today, just do what works for you. And that is absolutely the best way to go about pretty much anything in life. So I hope that's been helpful. And tomorrow, coming back with a few tips to just go a little bit deeper, just round off our experience this week. So that's me done. I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll see you all again tomorrow. Take care.